KILR Killer Game.
Hello gamers, simmers, and pilots. I am the Killer Gamer, and this is the World Tour featuring SubLogic Flight Simulator 2 for the Commodore 64. Here it is right here. It's also in the little picture that's down below me, but yeah, right here. This is on an emulator, the C64 version 3.9. Maybe there's a later one, I don't know. I've just had this for the longest time, and that's what we're using, and it works. So we just go with that. So we're here in Oshkosh at Wittman Field, and I'll go ahead and pull up the map so that way you can, or well, the radar, I should say, so that way you can take a good look at it here. So this funny looking airport here, we landed on runway 36, and that's where we stopped. So this looks kind of odd. This is an odd looking airport, you would think. It's like, well, is the airport really like that? Yes. Yes, it is. And let's go ahead and show that to you. With an actual map, here is the Wittman Airport. So this is the runway that we landed on right here. And then here is 27 and runway 9. And right here in the middle are those small runways, which is what the general aviation would be using, I would assume. And it looks like general aviation is set up over here. So very, very convenient for them to come over here and take off. So now you may be asking, well, what kind of flight are we doing today? Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to move the map all over the place is what we're going to do. So we're going to be flying from Wittman Field over here to Sheboygan. Why Sheboygan? Because it's an interesting name. You got she. She is a boy. Gan. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there's a story between Sheboygan, but she boy, or maybe it's an he boy, Gan. I don't know. But this is where we're going, and I chose this because it's I just like saying the name Sheboygan, but two, it's on an ADF, and we have not used ADF yet on Flight Simulator 2, so we're gonna, or did we? No, we did not use ADF. I'm thinking of one of the other simulators when we were going into Wisconsin, and this does not have that coverage. So we're just continuing with the flight in the areas that we can go, and those other simulators, well, they'll catch up and follow this route eventually. They're going to be going off into Canada and up and around and coming back down. So, but in general, all the simulators are going to be following the same type of flight plan as much as they possibly can. There are going to be limitations, but we will do our best to work around them. And you may be thinking, why? Why in the world are we doing these world tours where they're all flying the same flight plan and the same destinations? Well, wouldn't you like to compare flights from one location to another between the different simulators? Just to kind of see, oh, this is how it looked in Flight Simulator 3, and wow, this is what it looks like in X-Plane. And I don't mean just general, it's like, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, we know what the graphics look like between Flight Simulator 2 and Prepared or X-Plane. yeah, we know that the graphics get better. And there's plenty of historical videos out there on YouTube in regards to how it's changed over the years. But do they actually show you like specific flights, like experiencing the flight of going up or down the Mississippi River with the Commodore 64 or the Amiga, and then later doing it with FSX? Or no, I've not seen anything like that. This is the only channel that I know where we're actually doing those full flights and allowing you to be able to watch them and compare them for yourself, just for fun. So I kind of got off a beaten path there, but anyway, that's where we're going. We're going to Sheboygan, so we're going to have to set up our ADF and just basically fly to it, and then hopefully we can get ourselves lined up. So how do we do this? There, you don't see no ADF here, right? Well, we have to go into the menu settings, and this is probably going to move us where, I'm not sure. But we hit E to go into the configurations, and we're going to want to hit the enter key until we get to the next page, I believe. And there it is, right on the very bottom here, ADF enable. So we'll just go down here, and let's add some clouds this time. Okay, so we change that. We're still in the winter season. I think we can probably change this. I have not changed this yet. Let's change this to a 1. And then we'll go ahead and we'll set our clouds. We'll make it a cloudy day. Let's go ahead and make it tops of that and bottoms of that. I'm not going to worry about wind, because wind is a real pain in this old simulator. It's hard enough to try to get lined up with a runway, just because of how the graphics are. But then when you've got wind blowing you all around, oh, it's not fun at all. It turns the simulator from being fun into a royal pain in the butt. And well, we want to have fun, so. Oh, it's become nighttime. Very interesting. So I guess changing the season, it's now real late, and it's moved us, as you can see. Let's go to our map here. Okay, it's not too bad. It didn't move us too far away. So we're going to need to turn on our lights here. That's with the L. Oh, that is ugly. It messed up our, look at this. It put the VOR right over the ADF. Oh my, that's kind of ugly there. Let's try it again. Wow. That's a mess. Maybe we should change the season back to 4. Okay, so we're back. We had an interesting graphical glitch going on here with the ADF, so I had to actually restart and get it set back up and then turn it back on, so that way we have our ADF again. So wow, that was a mess. Okay, so since we're going to be flying between the two, let's go ahead and set up our ADF. And it's going to be 254, which, let's see, I believe tab A is going to be the first one. And we do tab AA, That'll do the second one. So we're changing that 257. We went 2544, so it's going to be tab AAA, and there we go. Change that to 254. And it's telling us it's moving around. So we want to go to a heading of 177. That should start taking us to the airport itself. But not only that, we're going to set the KOSH radio, which is 111.8. I'm going to set the VOR to 115, so that way we can kind of get lined up to one of those runways over there at Sheboygan. Alright, change this here. 115. 116, that'll do it. So with these two, that should give us kind of an idea of when we get there. We won't know how far away it is. It's not too far, so this should be a relatively short flight. But other than that, I believe we are set to go. So we'll go ahead and we'll well, we can take off from the runway that we're at. I suppose we could do, or we could use one of the short ones. How about we use one of the short ones? Do something a little different here. So we're started, and we're getting ready to go here. So here's one of them. Here's one of those short ones. We're going to use this runway right here. Turn ourselves around here. Too far. All right, so it looks like we're on runway 12. And in case you're wondering as far as real life, which runway we're on, looking at it here, this is the runway that we're taking. Is a small little runway right here. 13. Okay, so it's runway 13. Instead of taking the big one, let's take one of the small ones. And we'll be flying over Lake Winnebago. I mistakenly called that Lake Wisconsin in the last video. And Sheboygan is right here. And that's where we're headed. My cat is meowing at me. And up we go. Let's make sure we don't stall here. That would be bad. Because Flight Simulator 2 is not very forgiving when you stall. It has, one, it has a nasty sound, and two, it's like, you know, you wind up crashing. What, Shadow? I could have let you out earlier, and now all of a sudden you want attention. After I just got up in the air. I know what he's going to do. He's going to go jump somewhere he's not supposed to and knock stuff down to get my attention. Because he's a little snot. Alright. Let's go ahead and change our... Oh, that does not mean go to 137. Oh, now it's off. So what? 144? I don't know. I don't really use ADS very much. I thought what we need to do is just change it to where the arrow is pointing upwards. So let's do that. Let's just turn until the arrow is pointing upwards. And that road there in front of us looks like it might actually go to Sheboygan. So we might have a little bit of VFR here to go with. No, that may not be. I think that's going south. Boy, is it me or is that ADF just like not really taking us in the direction that we want to go? I don't know where it's pointing, but that sure doesn't look right. Because now we're heading due south, and that is definitely not right. I remember using the ADF before, and it wasn't horribly bad, but this is not looking the greatest, so I don't know, maybe we'll just have to resort to the VOR after all, or the OBS. We're above 4,000 feet, so we're going to want to get ourselves leveled off here. I'm double checking everything on the map. Sheboygan is 254 according to the map. But the ADF was definitely not pointing us in the direction that we needed to go. So that seems a bit broken. I could have sworn that it worked when I had used it, you know, back in the 80s when, you know, on a real Commodore 64. But maybe this particular ADF is just not working properly. I'm sure there are other ones that I use that, you know, maybe they do actually work properly, but this one definitely does not look like it. I mean, look at the arrow. Look which way it's pointing. That's not the way to Sheboygan, that's for sure. So our OBS needle here is beginning to move, which is good. We're taking a radio from the Oshkosh VOR. We're going to ride that wave to the Sheboygan County Memorial Airport. Now might be a good time to start turning here. I always hated how the ADF was put on the screen too. There's just this like, I hate how that looks. I know I've used it back when I played this in the 80s, but it's just ugly how this is just kind of slapped on there. I'm sure that's probably the best that they could do, but you know, still it's just bleh. This looks good. I think we're on a good radio here. Now, how far away it is from the airport, you know, how many miles are we flying? I don't know. If we had kept the other VOR radio, we could use another, you know, or the other OBS, we could use another VOR radio to give us an idea across, do like a cross section or whatever, you know, to an intersection between two radios to find out, you know, where we're at, but that's okay. We'll trust our instruments. We should be okay with the one OBS there. We'll just ride that. That should get us to Sheboygan. Yeah, I think we're getting close. That blue right there should be Lake Michigan. take a look out the window here. Lake Winnebago. Gonna take a look and see what the altimeter is at Sheboygan. 748. Since it's hard to gauge distance to the ground on this, we really have to depend on the instruments, and so it's kind of a good idea to know where the ground level is at before we get there, so we're not having to guess, since we're looking at this flat green landscape here. Go ahead and use my right rudder here and start getting us turned. So we're on a pretty good radio. I mean, this is... Oh, it's nighttime. Better turn on the lights then. Oh, this is fun. Now we can't see anything. It's because of the gray sky, so it's dark. So now we really are flying IFR at this point. There's nothing to see. So we'll just keep flying until we actually start to see the airport. And all that is going to be at night. Since the runway is the same color as this, it's just going to be dotted lines. That's all it's going to be. That's all we're going to see. But it'll stand out in the midst of this gray darkness here. Once we start seeing like some white lines, we'll know that's the airport. See, this thing is trying to say that Sheboygan, I guess, because the arrow is pointed down, is like away from us. There it is, right there. So this ADF is messed up. It's not pointing in the right direction. The real challenge will be landing because we don't know how far away it is. But we can use our radar maybe. Apparently not yet. We're not close enough. Aha! Did you see that little blip that was right there? Right there. That's the runway. That's the runway that we want. I'm pretty sure. I do think we should drop a degree of flaps, though. Let's at least get slowed down here. So once you've played this for a while, you get accustomed to those jagged lines and knowing what angle that runway is going to be at for the most part. Definitely not perfect. That's why we're trying to get this up here. Which so far... I can't seem to... Oh. Okay. Trying to find the right zoom level for that is not exactly easy. Because if you zoom out too far, the airport disappears. Let's level off around 2500. If we get too low, then we're going to definitely have a hard time trying to determine where that runway is at and lining up. Now look at the ADF, and we'll see now it's pointing upwards, but now it says off. Why? I don't know. Gonna drop another thing of flaps here. I don't want to come in too hot. Anything yet on the map? On the radar? Not yet. See, now I'm trying to determine the angle of that runway, so I'll see like a little pixel here and then maybe another pixel off here to the side, suggesting that there's an angle going on here. It's not always the case, but see, there was something going on right over here on the edge too, but we've looked at the map. When we looking at the map here, you can see that it's pretty much designed like an X. So it should not be off to the side. We should be somewhere here in the middle. So I think that I think it's right there. We'll keep going to the radar here to see if... Aha! Nope. There's a white thing. That's the airport right there. So we're coming in okay, it looks like. We need to move ourselves over a little bit, but we definitely need to start our descent, that is for sure. Let's get our last bit of flaps down. Get ourselves adjusted here with the rudder. See, it's beginning to be a little bit more clear. You can kind of see the angles that these are going at. That's the radar. So in something like this, just use the combination of the radar, you know, along with your eyes, as far as, you know, trying to get lined up. It's not easy getting lined up in these old simulators, so whatever little extra tool that you've got that helps is good. Yeah, it's too bad that this does not have the coverage, that this is missing the scenery disc from like Wisconsin and Montana, because in the other simulators we flew up in Wisconsin, Michigan, and saw the Land O'Lakes, which there are just tons of lakes all over the place. That would have been neat to kind of see with this. It's looking a little closer than... That is definitely close. So there, see that? Let's get ourselves lined up the best that we can here. I think that's too bad. We landed! Flaps up. Oh my. Turn that off. Wow. So, well, here we are. Sheboygan. Not a very long flight. but unexpectedly it turned nighttime. Was not expecting that. Or it's actually dusk right now. It just looks like night because we had gray skies. The fact that this is still blue here, that means that we still have the dusk going on. Once this turns dark, then we're at nighttime. And we'll change the season next time around to a number 1, since we've been on 4 for the longest time, I believe. But yeah, so we'll be doing some night flying here for a bit. So we're not going to really see too much. But that's okay. Want to give you the experience of day flying and night flying with this. Okay, well, thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the next leg of our journey. Have a good one and a safe one.